What is love? Can a person who does not have a relationship with God really love? Can you find a companion or a mate that truly loves you back? How can we truly love? This is part one of a 6-part series. For the next 3 months, we will explore the ancient book of Deuteronomy to discover helpful guidelines to aid us in our daily living. Our focus for lesson 1 is love. Therefore, our key text is found in 1 John 4, verse 8, the New King James Version, which says, "He who does not love does not know God, for God is love." The title for part 2 is Love to be Loved. Love is defined as a set of emotions that involve intimacy, passion, and commitment. The question is, how often can one find these characteristics wrapped in one person? Love, according to one website, indicates that love entails care, closeness, protectiveness, attractiveness, affection, and trust. Thus, when we search for love, we expect to find these characteristics in Mr. or Miss Right. The point is, humans do not have the capacity to give real love without a connection with God. Why? Because God is love, according to 1 John 4:8. To the human mind, the idea that God is love can be difficult to conceive. If we were attributing love to a special friend or a loved one, we might say he or she loves, or that he or she shows love. In contrast, 1 John 4:8 does not say God loves, God reveals love, or even that God is a manifestation of love, but it instead says God is love. The implication is that love is the essence of God. It is who God is. As fallen human beings, thinking of God as love may be difficult for us to wrap our brains around. So, with that said, then how can we love without God? What an amazing and wonderful concept to be connected to a God who is not only loving, but is the essence of love, because he is love. Now, but suppose instead of God is love, it said God is hate, or God is vengeful, or God is uncaring. That would give us something to be concerned about, right? When we see that God is love, then it helps us to better understand God's government, how he rules creation, even tainted by his enemy, Satan. God's love is reflected in his creation. His love permeates the entire universe. We can see his love in the beautiful flowers that bloom. We can feel his love in the warm sun and gentle breeze. Since God is love and God loves us, should we not love him back? Here is what it says about loving God in Deuteronomy 6, verse 5. It says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength." And Mark 12:30 repeats exactly what is found in Deuteronomy 6, verse 5. It says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength." Now, that's some kind of love. Yet, God who loves to be loved. However, as we saw in Deuteronomy 6:5 and Mark 12:30, the God who is love wants us to freely love him. Since God is love, He cannot force love, because love that is forced is no longer love. However, some have the notion that they can force a person to love them. But the moment that love is forced, it's no longer love. Hence, when God created intelligent and rational beings in heaven and on earth with the ability to love, the risk always existed that they might not love him back. Some didn't, and that brings us to why there are those who do not show love. These individuals are not connected to the God who is love. Thus, they are unable to return love. In contrast to God, who is love, is Lucifer, who became hate. In the context of freedom and the risk involved with love, in Isaiah 14:12 through 14, and Ezekiel 28:12 through 17, and in Revelations 12, verse 7, Lucifer, once called the son of the morning, chose not to return love. Did God force him to remain under a government of love? No. Satan and his supporters were expelled from the presence of God, of the God who is love. Especially insightful is Ezekiel 28, verse 15, which shows that though this angel, Lucifer, was a perfect being created by a perfect God, iniquity, that is sin or evil, was found in him. It was not because he had been created with that iniquity to begin with. Instead, he was created with the ability to love. Lucifer had true moral freedom to choose to love or not to love. And despite all that he had been given, this angel wanted more. One thing led to another until there was war in heaven, and Satan, who was called Lucifer, and his supporters were cast out. Just as we're willing to love and be loved in return, that is, we love with the expectations of receiving love, the reality is a meaningful relationship with God, who is love, requires that we truly love him back. Furthermore, those without a meaningful relationship with God cannot love, for God is love. So what happens when an entire group of people do not love? Find out in part 3, the fall and the flood. Check it out.